Hello and welcome to Why Leadership Fails, a podcast where there is no typical gyan, no stereotypical tales of glory. Instead, we bring to you unscripted, unfiltered conversations about real-life experiences of leaders, embracing failures, navigating challenges, and redefining success. I am your host, Bhavna Lalchandani, VP Digital Business at Hindustan Times. Well, speaking about chartbuster hits or groundbreaking initiatives, our esteemed guest today has constantly pushed the boundaries in the music business. He leads a record label which boasts about a diverse range of artists, signed as well as independent, such as Badshah, Arman Malik to DJ Chetas, Zayden to MC Stan, and international artists such as Eminem, Rihanna, Lady Gaga, and many more. If you would like to know more about this, what goes behind the scenes, stay with us as we delve into the music business leadership today and also understand the challenges, how do you unlock the secrets to success, as well as the lessons learned along the way. Let's welcome Mr. Devraj Sanyal, Chairman and CEO of Universal Music Group India and South Asia. Hey Devraj, lovely to have you here today.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. So to kick things off, your journey overall from a musician to now the CEO of Universal Music Group, was it a calculated decision or was it, just following your heart? And what were the key crossroads that led you to this path?
In your intro, you said I lead a label. Actually, I don't really lead a label. I lead a music business, which is a label, a publishing house, a merchandising house, a bunch of artist management companies. So I didn't want to be in a label. I wanted to be in a music business. I knew that all along. In fact, when I was in my band in the early 90s, I knew one day I would be far better at the other side of it, because I used to call myself we were managers of the band, we were band managers, but I knew I'd make a far better brand manager than a band manager. So, very early in life we made the switch, and Brahma's career actually was fairly long. I mean, we've been here in these studios with the band many, many years ago. But I think to be able to affect the lives of so many musicians and to actually make their dreams come true, that was a far more rewarding long-term proposition than just being in a band and selfishly doing your own music. So I think that switch I made in my mind years ago. I mean, over a 30-year career, my last almost 24 years, I've been doing two jobs. I spent 10 years in a company called Percept, and I spent now 14 years in Universal Music Group. So broadly in the media entertainment and the music entertainment business for the last 25 years. Was it a calculated move? I think most people will say it's calculated. I think, and looking at what the podcast is called, Why Leadership Fails or Why Leaders Fail. Smart leaders are a bunch of things, right? The really smart leaders, and I don't at all consider myself to be a very smart leader, but for whatever little smartness there is in me, everything is calculated. I don't think there is one thing in my life which I am not pre-planning, calculating, 100 times going over my head before executing. So every single step of my life that I have made, at least in leadership, because I was a very early leader. I became CEO, I think I was age 27. So I don't think you can achieve stuff if you're not going to plan severely ahead. And, you have goalposts and benchmarks and sort of in your head, okay, you want to do this by this and so on by so on. And I think I had them in my head very early. I'm happy to report that most of those things I've managed so far. I'm going to be 49 next month, so I think I've broadly managed to sort of tick off the ones that I wanted. But I'm in a creative business, right? Yeah. So while you're extremely structured and extremely fortunate to plan, the other side of it is that a creative business doesn't allow you to plan beyond a point because you're working with creators, right? You may have a structured business, but your core asset is a creator who's absolutely, the only rule that they have is that they have no rules. Sure. So mine is a dichotomous world of two complete extremities coming together, and I'm trying to make sense out of something which by the standard definition and MBA, textbook definition has no sort of ability to structure, but It's an everyday struggle, but it's the coolest job in the world, so I'm not complaining.
Totally agree to that. So you said 25 years in the music business?
Well, 14 years purely in the music business, 20-something years in the music, media, and entertainment business. Because in my past stint, I founded a festival called Sunburn, which became a big thing. Now, that was completely music, right?
Absolutely.
And there are a bunch of things that I did in and around music. So broadly, yeah, maybe about 20-odd years in the
Wow.
broad sense of everything in the music business.
2 decades. So from vinyls to the streaming era, how do you really blend the traditional music business practices, with the new age trends and technology to stay relevant?
Because you don't look at technologies, you don't look at all of that when you look at the heart of a business, right? The rules of a music business remains the same. Nothing has changed. The formats may change, the futures may change, but we believe in one singular motto, right? And if you distill it down, let's say just to a song, because artistry, people, superstars, all is a byproduct of what we do. What is our one net asset that we have? It's ultimately a song, right? And then comes the layers and layers and layers of audio, video, marketing, and everything else. A good song is a good song is a good song. Period. It was the same when it was vinyl. The ones that did really well were the great songs and the great songwriters and the great people who actually were able to effect real change by their lyrics or their thought or their music. Same thing happened in cassettes. Same thing happened when we went digital. In between CDs and 100% streaming, there was, don't forget, the Nokia Comes With Music era, which was pre-embedded music in your phones. So yeah, we've seen pretty much all of that, right? And the rules really haven't changed. The surfaces have changed. The technology is changing rapidly. The technology is changing faster than we can keep track. So the business is far more transient than ever. So you have to really sort of amp up, scale up, stay ahead of it if you want to stay relevant. And not look, I don't think leaders want to stay relevant. We want to be way ahead of the curve. So people like us are already thinking what's going on in 25, 27, 28. We aren't, like me on my day job, I don't think 24 really. I do it because I have to. But my remit is I run India and South Asia hands-on with an incredible team, and I also run strategy for a larger area called AMEA. Basically, that region, the reason I mention it is pretty much the entire high-growth markets in the world, right? But there was a time once where, you had BRICS and you had BRICSA. Now, Brazil has emerged, Russia has finished, Indonesia, us, Asia, all of that is one big. So South Africa, Middle East, North Africa, Asia, China, Korea, us. We are now the belt that is the sum of all high-growth markets in the world, right? So all the action is here. And if you're not going to stay ahead of it, this music the business will destroy you.
Absolutely.
Do you know how many songs come out in a day? 120,000 songs per day on the Streamscape. So in a week, do the math. In a month, do the math. So if you have 100,000 plus songs hitting the Streamscape every single day without fail, 7 days a week, how in God's name are you supposed to make that one song or the 5 songs or the 3 songs pop? It's impossible. It's not physically, emotionally, figuratively, digitally, marketingly possible to cut through. So you really have to be way ahead in your thinking. You have to, technology's got to be your best friend.
So speaking about artists, talent is pretty much the cornerstone of the music industry, right? And India today, it's a hotbed of talent. So how do you spot and nurture the emerging artist?
Look, the truth of the matter is, we're in 2024 where, as a market, if you just consider our market, we're the world's highest, definitely top 1, top 2 YouTube market, WhatsApp market, Instagram market. Any short form app, Snapchat market, like in the world, right? We're top 2, top 3 across every single, which is incredible, right? India. And the only market ahead of you is probably the US and YouTube or whatever else.
And it's growing.
And it's growing rapidly. And we are going to grow much faster because we still have headroom, right? Those markets are mature and they're emerged and there's only so much that can happen. So spotting talent is simultaneous. Everyone knows. If an artist erupts on Instagram, everyone will see it. Everyone will go mad. Everyone will go and bid. Everyone will go and pay money. We have the absolute opposite way of doing things. We don't write big checks for these things. We don't bid because we're not in Bollywood. We don't do film music, which makes us an anomaly because we are what we call which I mean, me, my boss, we hate this word, but we are like the flag bearers of something called non-film music, right? When we started our journey a few years ago, we said there is all this music in India where, and most people don't even understand it, right? When you watch a movie, you see Hrithik Roshan and some great Katrina Kaif dancing, they think Hrithik is singing the song. Actually, it's not. It's Arijit's song at the back, right? He's singing it, and more often than not, people can't make that difference, right?
Correct.
But we are the guys who have nothing to do with that world. So our entire business is based on original content and independent artists who write their own songs, who produce their own songs. Of course, I mean, we have producers and writers and whatever else.
Yeah.
So for us, the deal is very simple. We are the world's most premier business in the world. We literally are the most sizable of them all. And they come to us because they believe in the power of what we can do, right?
Sure.
Waving a check, anyone can do. Writing a big number which is well beyond what's right, anyone can do, right? That's not how you build artists.
Yeah.
If writing a check meant building artists, then there would be 5 million artists and 20 million labels by now, because everyone would be writing a check. It doesn't work like that. It's a lot of hard work, right? So the two things that you do is you attract them because they know who you are, what you're capable of doing. You build the greatest team in music and music entertainment and the music business in the territory, which I can tell you, hands down, I have the best. And it's not a vain statement. It's not, me sounding the universal horn, but it's the truth. I spend a lot of time building the best team in the world. I have the best team in the world. That allows you to truthfully look and then nurture, not over a short term, but over a midterm to long term, of how you want these artists to develop from their how they look, how they speak, what they are socially, what their music sounds like, production. I mean, today, the biggest artists in the world, and you name Bacha and people, they're writing locally. They're also producing globally.
Yeah.
I think those doors have now, disappeared, and our job is to open those doors. Because I said this line years ago. Maybe it was too early, but I knew I was right then, and I am right now. Is that India is no longer our marketplace. The world was our marketplace, and I said that I think 5 or 6 years ago, and it couldn't be truer today.
Yeah.
What we are creating and what we are producing is not only for India. It's for India. It's for Indians here. It's for Indians in the diaspora, so all the diaspora markets in the world. It's for the white, brown, yellow folk all over the planet. It doesn't matter what color, caste, creed you are. If a great song is going to work.
Yeah.
I remember being in the very early days of Universal. I think it was 2013 maybe. Yeah, 13 or 14. 13 maybe. There was nothing called Latin music in the world, right? Latin music was great, Latin American based music, and you knew it was very cute, and we had access to it because I was Universal. But I saw Despacito being born in front of my eyes.
Wow.
And in that whatever number of years that have passed, today there is more Latin music on the charts globally than there are English songs on the charts.
Yeah.
Now, how the hell does that happen in a world of 8 billion odd people, where the total Spanish-speaking Latin target audience is still lesser than 25%?
Sure.
How does it have 25 positions on the Billboard Top 100? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
The point is that there was a sonic, people didn't care about the language, it was a groove, people got into it, and today all of these artists in the world are the biggest. They're the biggest artists in the world. Karol G, Bad Bunny, whether they're mine or not is irrespective, right?
Yeah.
Whoever these artists are, they're gigantic.
Absolutely.
They're doing millions and millions and billions of streams.
Yeah.
How does that happen, right? It happens because you find them little ahead of its time, and you nurture them through its time, and then you pitch them in what we call in leadership and state management. You'll figure out where you want them to land, and you work very hard to make sure that everything you do is pushing that singular lever or a bunch of singular levers to ensure that, that artist lands there. Are you going to be right all the time? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I can tell you that, and that's the other thing about leadership, right? You're not always right. But you have to be quick enough to realize when you're not right and quickly change and amend and do whatever you need to make sure that you're still your path and your goal hasn't changed.
Sure, absolutely, completely agree to that. But in India, with the rise of independent artists, what are the pros and cons of being signed to a label vis-a-vis remaining independent?
I don't think you need to be signed to a label, or you need to be independent, or you need to be somewhere in the middle to succeed. You will succeed if you are meant to succeed because your songwriting skills are bigger than anything. Your ability to talk to your audiences in a genuine, true way is much above par than what one would expect of somebody of that age group or whatever, right? What the label and the publishing companies are able to do is you're able to put a machinery in front of an artist whose time is about to come, right? I mean, and this is a age-old battle that we've been fighting. Is it great to have a label? Is it great to be independent?
Yeah.
I work with equally a large number of independent artists who are not signed to a label, but I have other relationships with them, whether they're in my management company, whether they're in a strategic partnership with us, whether they're in the live business with us, whether they're in any other kind of business, including label services, distribution, whatever have you. The point is that there comes a time in an artist's life when you need an army to push your music to a far greater audience.
Sure.
You need money, resources, ability, innovation, tech, all of that, which becomes very difficult for a singular or a bunch of artists or an artist who's just signed to a cute management company. All of those have ceilings, right? If you want the really big time, and I'm not saying that's not happened, that no artist who's never been on a label has never made it to the big time. There are anomalies.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, far and few. Every single gigantic success in the world today, including here, it does unfortunately need, or fortunately, depending on which side you're looking at it, it does need machinery which is solid, dedicated, passionate, unbiased, and is your extended family.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, I'm an anti-label. I'm not a label. I'm just an extension of your family. I'm an extension of your teams. If we can do what you were doing alone with the same ability, just on a much larger size, then that's our job. That's our role.
Yeah. Sure. In fact, you spoke so beautifully about and described how do you spot, nurture artists. Coming to the teams, how do you really ensure that they are empowered, to cultivate ideas, and at the same time, your overarching vision is aligned to it?
Two things. One is never write a vision yourself. Write a vision with the entire company, right?
Super.
With the leadership, with whatever, up to a certain level. So, because if you write a vision yourself and you try and get your guys to follow it, it's never going to work. Because half of them will believe it, half of them will believe it because they have to, because you're their boss. Half of them won't believe it but want their job, so they'll do whatever. So the easiest, smartest, most intelligent thing to do is to build the mission and the vision together as one team, not just below you, but even above you, right? So my super boss, the chairman of Universal Music Group in the world, what he thinks about all our territories, what my immediate boss, who's the number 2, me and my entire bunch of teams all the way, and people from Chanu, everyone down, there isn't even a 0.5% quivering difference in what if you ask any of them, you wake them up at 3 a.m. and say, mission, vision, they'll say the same thing that I will, the same thing that my boss will, and the same thing that my global chairman will, right? So first of all, your vision has to be tight and co-written. Never write it yourself. Mistake. Empowerment is a very, very misappropriated and misjudged and misused word in leadership. The truth of the matter is, I personally can tell you, maybe 2% or 5% of the leaders out of the entire 100 that exist in the world truly know how to empower. Empower means you trust, you let them do, and you get their back. You guide. Empower does not mean you tell them to do, you sit on their head, oversee it, put your feet on top of their brains and expect them to work. And that kind of empowerment I've seen enough in my life, including in my own company and outside.
Oh my God,
that's the worst kind of empowerment. When we empower, whether it's me empowering my number 2 or my number 2 empowering his leadership, we truly empower. We empower, we say, okay, here are the rules. We discuss what's expected. We set a bunch of rules that we expect people to follow. You guide from the outside. And we've got great communication skills upwards and downwards. We're good at that because we're a global company. We work in a matrix company. We've got incredibly tight lines of communication. Everyone knows what's going on. And then the rest is honestly, if you have intent, alignment, and real ability to work hard. I think, again, most people forget that, leaders forget. When they grow beyond a certain point, everyone thinks that, boss, abhi to main corner office mein hu, baki sabko karne do, main dekhunga dur se.
Correct.
Every single day you have to work harder than your number 2. He's got to work harder than his number 2, and so on and so forth. If you have intent, alignment, and just dog-headed hard work, 9 out of 10 times you'll be fine.
Brilliant.
So you have to empower, and you have to truly empower.
So speaking about hard work, it's not just about music, but you've also been, associated and in fact launched a lot of successful initiatives, right? You mentioned about Sunburn. There is the CSR initiative, the Dharavi Dream Project. And also now the Coke Studio project, which Universal is involved in. So what is the inspiration and what is your thought process, when you come up with such large IPs and initiatives?
Honestly, I mean, is there a thought process? There's one leader trait which no one talks about, but all of us have it. It's called insane greed. Okay? I'm a greedy fellow. I want it all, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I genuinely, truly want it all, and I'm willing to work harder than everyone else to get it. You talked about Coke Studio. You talked about Dharavi. Each of them have such incredible stories behind it. What nobody knows is I pitched for Coke Studio for 5 years, or maybe 6, before I got it.
Wow.
For different reasons and different timings and completely. But the point is that you just don't give up. I'm one of those. I'm like that dog whose tail cannot be turned only, but I will tie it around my neck and run around with the dog. I just cannot. I am incapable of giving up. I just can't. Something in my body and my brain does not let me, right? Dharavi Dream Project. Try launching a social good initiative, a school inside Dharavi, like deep inside the heart of Dharavi.
Yeah.
And it's now been 10 years. My brother, Samir Bangara, who founded QQ, sadly he's no more. But Sam and I started the school when we genuinely said something's got to happen, man. Something's got to give. Look at these kids. Between drugs and prostitution and everything else that's going on over there, they have to have something good. Again, these are textbook things as music for social good. It's all written in good text that makes it sound good. But if you socially don't do good in these places, they're doomed to fail and die. So it was required. And 10 years ago and even now, doing anything inside Dharavi is not easy.
Of course. It's the largest slum in Asia.
It's the largest slum in Asia. Not only that, but if you see the kids inside, my God, and many people have come to that school over the years. From Susan Wojcicki of YouTube to Mark's number 2, I think it was, I can't remember who it was, most senior people in Meta, Facebook back then, Lior Cohen, the global head of YouTube Music. Everyone's come to the school. Rahman celebrated. AR and Shekhar are sort of co-partners in the school. But 10 years of Slumdog Millionaire we did at the school.
Wow. And
all of these very, very incredibly Oscar-winning, Golden Globe-winning human beings, when they come and watch these kids perform, their hearts melt. Now, how do you create that atmosphere for them to actually do something which can... All you need is one kid from there to become the next divine. One kid from there to become the next Badshah. That one, we live for that hope. That day that one kid explodes from there, Dharavi will stop being the biggest slum.
It's so fulfilling.
Because you'll be able to take everything above you.
Sure.
And do we do it for fulfillment? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There is not one iota of self-fulfillment that you do as a purpose. Like, do you say, if we do it, people will say, wonderful. No, we don't give a crap. We just want that one kid to succeed. I've been saying it for years. And not only in Dharavi, right? If one are not privileged, let's not call them underprivileged, because many people come from different strata. Not everyone has the ability, and it's very difficult. Being a musician is expensive, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't. You need to have a lot of hustle and money and connections to do it. If one kid, boy, girl, whoever, who did not have the resources to do it, but hustled their way and did it, that's it. It uplifts an entire generation. I live as a human being. My sole purpose that God has put me on this earth is to deliver that. Then comes everything else as a byproduct of that.
Amazing.
Because truly, these kind of things can uplift generations. That is what I want my legacy to be. I'm greedy because I'm not willing to give up till those are done. They're not easy. Let me tell you, my God, they're gut-wrenchingly difficult. But somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to put the hard work. Somebody's got to put that, and here the failure quotient is so high that you got to keep trying, failing. No problem. The other leadership trait, why leaders fail?
Yeah.
Very little patience. I have the patience of a old Roman god. I swear to you. I ask any of my people. I have insane levels of patience. Not because it's a leadership trait that I said, I must have in my book of traits. Absolutely not. Let me tell you, it is probably the most important trait that a leader needs.
Sure.
You can be the most innovative person. You can be the most gregarious person. You may have the gift of articulation. You may have an incredible network. You may have the best team in the world. Don't have patience, you're dead. Nobody talks about patience. Patience is it is the cornerstone of a good leader. Because without patience, none of these things that you're trying to build, you will not have a completion rate.
Yeah.
Leave alone the highest one in the organization or the city or the state or the country, if you don't have enormous amounts of patience.
So true.
So I have patience. I'm willing to wait for as long as it takes to get one of these kids to become the biggest star in the world. Because the truth of the matter is, all of these other kids, they've all done well. Yeah, they were all a little less than privileged, but they've had a great run at it. Nobody came from a place where they couldn't afford 2 meals, leave alone 3 meals. None of them have seen that. They've been in and around. I want one of those success stories now to come, and that would just be the most incredible thing in the world for us.
Awesome. What an amazing journey. I mean, incredible. And I'm sure that, with that, you did speak about failures, you did speak about challenges. Can you elaborate on some challenge or, describe something that was truly something that, you felt that, oh my God, this is something that, will not happen, and how did you navigate it?
In our world, we face those pretty much every day, right? But every once in a while, you have these really big ones where you think, oh my God, like the stuff's going to hit the ceiling, right? A few years ago, and not only me, for the whole industry, one of our favorite government directorates, let's call them, came after the entire industry, right? So it was quite a scary time for everyone, and there was all sorts of stuff going on, and we were basically warring with some creator societies. But and it was like 6-8 months of real stress, like bank accounts being frozen and real unhappy. And the truth of the matter is, you did nothing wrong, right? You were all absolutely, I mean, we're companies who were very careful and audited, and we've got all sorts of stuff going on. Anyway, long story short, it was a time of great stress, great stress. Many things you have to do to navigate it. First of all, you have to know your business really, really well. First, I am not in the music business. I may be in the music business, but I'm in all these things you say. We are actually not. What we really are is same. So are you. We're in the rights business. We're in the copyright business. That's our it's at the core of what we do, right? If you understand copyright, if you understand copyright law, if you understand the flow of rights and how it works, everything else is built around that. So the first thing is, you have to know your business like the back of your hand, and you have to truly know it, and you have to be smart enough to know that you don't know everything, so you have to learn every day and read every day and get better for yourself. So that's one part of it. You need patience, because they're going to wear you down. The trick about any of these things are, they'll push you against the wall. The minute you lose your patience, the game is over. So you don't lose your patience. Through all of that, what I knew in my head, which is why I was excellent at it, and everyone was like, dude, how are you dealing with this so calmly, is because I knew that if we cracked it, a 10-year fight between the creators would end and we would all become together. So the ability of this great thing that I called, and it's going to be the title of my book, I would like to think I'm one of the best end state managers in the world. An end state manager is somebody who can look way into the future, look at what the end state of any situation, business, whatever will look like, and like shut your eyes and you can visualize it, right? Like I shut my eyes and saw that India should have the biggest festival in Asia 5 years before Sunburn was even born. So if you're able to do that, then everything else falls into place, right? And you have to have the gumption and ability and money raising, whatever, to do it, right? So in this, I knew that if we all banded together and got this right, and some of us have to lead it and take extra pain, but the entire creator economy would come together. And we had two such humongous problems. One was with one bunch of people, and one was with another bunch of creators, let's call them. Long story short, everyone is together today. Yeah. Now that would not happen if you didn't have the ability to seriously circumvent some ridiculous sized challenges where you knew that, okay, at the end of that meeting, maybe you would actually go to jail for a week, which in any leader's life is not exactly a pleasant feeling. Like you leave home saying, you tell your wife, acha, speed dial 1 pay, you have lawyer number 1, speed dial 2, lawyer number 2, speed dial 3, your assistant, and all the night numbers that she may not pick in the day. Now that is not a good conversation to have with the family before you leave home, but we've also seen those days. But through all of that, to your point of navigating it, because you knew your business, because you knew what you were going towards the end state of, honestly, I mean, I feel ridiculous when I say it sometimes, I actually don't feel stress.
You don't feel stressed?
No, I'm clinically calm, and it's so upsetting. Like most people are saying, oh, shouldn't you be like fainting and dying? I'm like, no, what the hell for?
How are you so zen?
I'm not zen at all. I'm the most hyper person you know in the world. But I don't worry about stuff because I knew that worrying will never solve your problem. spending time thinking about the shit that can go wrong will never help you get out of it. So you might as well take all that time, use your brains, talk to people who know more than you, talk to your teams, make a solid argument for whatever you're going in for, and change the world hopefully, right? But sitting and moping and whining during crisis, whining every day, whining for fun, all are wrong. Because there is no great end result to any of that.
Do what it takes to be.
Do what it takes on that day, And you have to understand, today, and especially now, I have more people. I'm 40, I'm going to be 49 next month. I've had at least 30 people who I know, really close, after COVID, in the last year and a half, have died. Every week I hear someone telling me that heart attack, this attack, that attack, inflammation, right?
Oh, yeah.
If ever in the world there was a time when you truly believe that life is short, celebrate it every day, take every win and move on. Again, something a lot of leaders aren't capable of doing because they're so stuck inside their own ego. If ever that time was, it's now. I'm like, dude, whatever it takes, let's win today, we'll see tomorrow. Don't shut the day without doing what you said you would. Yeah. Like, it really upset. I have the world's longest to-do list. I have an embarrassingly long to-do list. Every day my to-do list, 15 things go to the next day. Right? And every day I swear that aaj to I will finish and go to. It has never happened in a very long career. Yeah. Because just physically the number of things are insane, right? Yeah. But the fact that you want to keeps you right. The fact that your intent that you bring to the workplace and otherwise is right. If you are able to do that, you should be okay.
Awesome. Truly inspiring, I must say. And Devraj, you spoke about the audience. So now it's time to also get some audience voice into our conversation.
Oh no, I'm so afraid.
So we move to our next segment called the Janta Unfiltered, which is basically we call in queries from the audience. We put it to our guest as is. Because as you know, this podcast is all about unscripted, unfiltered conversation.
And whoever's heard this content now should know that it's unfiltered and unscripted. Because
totally it was.
Yeah, I know.
So
Bring it.
All right. So the question is by Joel from Bangalore. And the way it reads is that, what is the most memorable or unexpected encounter you've had with a music artist that left a lasting impression on you?
I've had many. Many. The one that I think I would remember most, we were at, so my global boss has a leadership meeting every year in Palm Springs. And he knows I'm a huge nut for music because I've been a musician, and he likes that in us, that we like music. So I remember being at his house. There were 100 CEOs from across the world, having a drink, waiting, and I saw that at the corner there was a little picket fence, like little 5 guitars and 2 little seats, and I kept asking him, who's coming? He said, wait, this person you will really, really like, I promise. And I was really desperate to know, and this guy came after like an hour and a half, right? His next door neighbor, in walks one of my personal heroes, Eddie Vedder, the vocalist of Pearl Jam. So anyway, we hear it, we're like, oh, wow, amazing. And then my boss says, come, meet Eddie. And I'm like, and I'm very articulate. I've met scores of very senior musicians, and I mean the biggest in the world. And I'm like, man, I'm a big fan, and India story, blah, blah, Amia story, all that nonsense. Nothing came out of my mouth only.
Seriously?
It was the most embarrassing encounter. I was like, I sounded like a moron, and I was like, I then realized that shit, this is what an idiot fan sounds like, who's incapable of bloody putting anything through. Anyway, that was done.
Fan moment, totally.
Total fan moment. 3-4 years later, we're at Milk Studios in LA, and Pearl Jam are playing their new album that's about to come, and obviously many years have passed. And then at one point in time, I remember Eddie's outside at the garage, and I walk in. Well, now I'm very confident, and I say, hey, and he said, hey, obviously he knew who I am because we were all introduced. And I said, I don't know if you remember this story, but a few years ago you were at your neighbor, my boss's house. He said, you're the India guy. I said, yeah. I said, what do you remember? He said, yeah, you were a bumbling idiot. When Eddie Vedder tells you you're a bumbling idiot, is not a special moment in your life, but that is the one guy I saw, and I was like, oh my God, I love you, So yeah, I've had moments like that.
Awesome.
I've had a few moments like that, but never inarticulate, because I'm just a big fan of artists. I mean, I am Spotify and Apple Music's top 0.001% listener. Okay, I've got 120,000 minutes of music between both those platforms. I listen to a lot of music. I listen to music in the night. I listen to music in the day. I listen to 10, 15 hours of music in a day. So I'm somebody who lives literally in the cradle of music more than anything in the world, right? And I have for years. So for me to meet artists is not like a privilege anymore. It's an honor. It's just amazing, to just be a part of that artistry, because our global sort of vision statement is something that I truly believe in. It's in all our offices. And this is my super boss, Aleutian Grange, who said, we exist to shape culture through the power of artistry. I think it's one of the most powerful statements in music anyone has ever made. And we truly believe it. Like, it is inside. If you scratch open my arm, you will see that it's written. It's that deeply seated in us, right?
It's the crux of
It's to shape culture. Think about it. Shaping culture is not a small thing, right?
Of course.
To shape culture through the power of artistry is such a big statement, and I think we live it every single day.
Sure. But thanks, Devraj, for sharing this story.
Of course.
Thank you, Joel.
Embarrassing stories are always. I have so many embarrassing stories.
Thank you, Joel, for sending in the query, and hope you enjoyed the story. Speaking about your journey, it's been incredible, awesome, but I feel that leaders also can have some fun, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
So now we move to a fun segment, which is called the 60-second spin.
Oh, no. Okay.
Are you ready to come along for a spin with me?
100%.
You have no choice.
I have no idea what's in it, but yeah, happy to.
So what's in it is that we throw questions at you, and you need to answer as many as possible in a span of 60 seconds.
Okay.
So you need to be really prompt at it. One statement, one word, let's go.
Okay.
All right, great. Let's begin. The obvious one, favorite music genre?
Metal.
Of course. Top priority when signing a new artist?
Authenticity.
If you could time travel to any musical era, which one would you choose?
I'm exactly where I want to be right now.
Great. One word to describe your leadership style?
Empathetic.
I love it.
Everything else comes after.
If you could have dinner with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, I've had dinner and lunches with many musicians, all alive, some dead. I have no particular one. I'm a fan. I'm an idiot fan, so I love them all. I've had the privilege of having lunches, dinners, been at their mansions. I've seen it all, and I'm not proud. I'm just thankful. I'm filled with gratitude that in my lifetime I could do these things which sound, my kids tell me sometimes, I'm talking to somebody. It's like, who are you talking to? I said so and so, and they're just like, what? You're talking to this artist? I'm like, yeah. There's a big India thing happening, and for them it's like, wow. It's not wow. It's never been wow for us, but it's like, it's such a privilege. Yeah. It's such a rare privilege that few people have it, and you should never take it for granted. Just be thankful. Sorry, that was like 30 seconds of your 60 seconds. We'll add 30 more.
Okay, so, looking at your passion, if you weren't in the music industry,
nah, I wouldn't be in any cha-cha.
No chance. I told my my headhunter years and years ago, right? I had two incredible headhunters, one who never gave me a job and one who gave me all my jobs. Unfortunately, I mean, she passed away a few years ago, one of my closest friends. I told Neeta I think I went to her when I was 18 or 19, and I'd already done some work by then, so I'm a very early starter. And she said, tell me the one thing that you want to do, right? She was asking me an end state question. I said, I want to lead. Back then, I didn't know about this complexity of music businesses, so I said, I want to lead the biggest label in the world. And I didn't even know that that's an incorrect statement because it's a very complex structure of business. But she was like, okay, that's what it is. So I inched my way towards stuff. And eventually, I got what I wanted. And 14 years ago, I came to this company. But I came here with one massive difference. And I think that's what sets some leaders apart, is that I don't have empathy because it's a born leadership trait. I've been on the other side. I've been signed to a major label in my career as Brahma. I've been shat upon by label executives. So I swore that when I took over this company, we would be an empathetic label. We would be honest. We would be transparent. If we couldn't do something, we would tell you on your face we couldn't do it. So the one thing that no artist will ever, speak of us badly, at least in that respect, is that we'll tell you, can done, can't be done. Will happen, won't happen. We are not the ones who say, oh, this is great and that. No. This is what we can do. You bring what you can to the table, we bring what we can to the table. Hopefully 1 + 1 = 2 million, right? But being a active participating musician for that many years, I've recorded albums myself, so I understand production.
I'm a songwriter of the past, of course, different genre, different time. Sure. But I've been through it myself enough to know what these artists go through. I understand their insecurities. I understand the complexities. So the empathy automatically rises when you know you've been on the other side. It's not cool when an artist comes and is proud of what they're creating, and the A&R guy is like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's heartbreaking, So the empathy is not just a leadership style. It is embedded and hard-coded in everything that you do for your product and its offerings and your own people. You can squash spirit by looking at somebody who came to you with a great idea. You can say, amazingly thought, this can't happen or this can't work because of this, or you can say, shit idea, get out. The difference between those two is the cornerstone of a good leader. I will never, ever, over my dead body, tell the youngest kid on the planet that this was a crap idea. Because if someone did that to me 20 years ago, Ashok, Mr. Pari, any of them, they would have squashed my spirit. I wouldn't have made it this far.
Right.
I would have given up and done something else. But the reason why your mentors before you and you being mentored to your mentees is that you're able to explain to them and lift their spirit, encourage them, guide them, teach them how to think differently. Sure. And I think that, and this generation is doing it, they're doing it unbelievably. I reposted a young kid, probably the most junior kid in my office, and he was shocked. He was like, oh my God, I can't believe you reposted that. I'm obviously quite social. Not human by social I am, but also on social media, right? So this kid says, childhood dream achieved. He must be all of 21 or something, right? He listened to Coke Studio because obviously a 21-year-old kid's parents are younger than me. Naturally, he must have some 45-year-old father or whatever, 46-year-old mother. When he was a kid, they were listening to Coke Studio now, means Pakistan and Madari and not Pasuri is now, Madari and the good old ones that came 10 years ago. Yeah. And he's like, my ultimate goal, and he's a young kid, that I wanted to be connected with Coke Studio somehow. And he posted this picture, which obviously has all of us, and his name there, A&R. And he posted it with such pride. And I reposted it saying that full marks for doing that. And so that kind of empowerment is like, oh my God, he was like, he's walking around, feeling so great. But what he doesn't understand is it wasn't me making him feel good. I'm so proud that there is a generation that is also able to do that. Sure. As flaky as some of this generation is, you also have people like that who completely are the contrarian opposite of what you expect. That Gen Y, Z, Alpha, Beta, somewhere in the middle. I haven't lost count anymore of how young they are. But if a 21-year-old kid can say, I had a dream when I was 14 or 13, and by 21 I've ticked it off, hell yeah, why not?
Awesome.
And it's our job to encourage that. Because that kid, and I remember, just go back to if you follow me, go back to 3 posts ago, and I said that you should have my job faster than I had it.
Wow.
I genuinely believe that. Because if you don't, what the hell kind of leader are you? You know what I'm saying? Leaders have to allow other people to do what you did faster, better, have the advantage of the knowledge of the mistakes you made. Half my leadership gyan is saying, Baba, I made these 5 mistakes. Please don't do it. Because it will cost you money, time, energy, resource. You will fail. Sure. So don't go down that road, And maybe you will win faster. And if you win faster, we will win faster, of course. That's the unsaid line. But hey, we got to run a business at the end of the day, right?
Of course.
Sorry,
you seem to have real fun in this fun segment. We already completed 60 seconds.
Oh, no.
But one last question from my side. How
Please.
many vinyls do you own? I'm just curious.
I don't know anymore, but they're in the very high thousands.
Interesting.
I probably have more vinyls than anyone else
Interesting.
So in my study, there are about a couple of thousand, but I have a lot in storage. I have a lot of vinyls. Actually, my father gave me my first one when I was really young. And my love for vinyl started. It was Engelbert Humperdinck, Man Without Love, and A Carpenter's A Song for Love. They were my first 2 vinyls. I still have them. I still play them all the time. When I was 4 years old. So I am going to be 49, means 45 saal pehle. And I still play them every week. And then I'm a fiend. By now you would have understood that I have the good kind of OCD. So once I like something, I collect.
Sure. Sounds good. Great. Sorry. So with this, we come to the end of the fun segment, 60-second spin, and you did pretty well.
Not bad. There's no hamper like Kejo. I'm joking.
There's just the timer, which you surpassed. Thanks, Devraj. That was really fun. And with this, we come to our last segment, which is called Expert Edge, wherein I would like you to share one quick thought on why leadership fails and one mantra for being an effective leader.
I think we covered why leaders fail by not having a lot of key traits, right? You can't be inauthentic by claiming to be authentic. I've seen a lot of leaders fail primarily because of that. You can't be empathetic when you're actually not empathetic. Doublespeak in leaders is the worst problem. You say, oh, I care about you. In my heart, I'm like, I don't give a shit about you. That is the death of leadership. It's not why leadership fails. Means you should though not be a leader only. You should lose your job and go sit and sell some product somewhere, because it does much more harm to people. And I've personally dealt with a few leaders like that, and it's just like, it's horrible, right?
So have I.
I'm sure you have. Only thing is that I've had one on top, in the middle. Unlucky, probably the only bad leader I ever had. And a few that I parted company over the years. But because I grew senior very early, I've had many leaders who were reporting to me but much older than me, and I've had the distinct pleasure of getting rid of a few of those, because that can destroy your organization faster than anything else can, right?
Oh, yeah.
False pride, big ego, treating people badly, treating women without respect. I mean, Jesus, like, what, right? So, I think if you're at some point in time, I think the difference between why leaders fail and why leaders should succeed should be the automatic transition of your podcast. I think leaders should succeed because they are truly authentic, they're empathetic, they walk the talk truly, not by saying that they will or pretend to. They work harder by way of knowledge, means they have to know more, they have to come with solutions, not problems. Everyone comes to a leader with problems hoping that they'll solve it. So you have to be a problem solver. So you have to know more, you have to read more, you have to network more, you have to do everything harder. A leader's job is actually very tough.
Of course.
Our designations are fancy and we have the good life, or so people think. Actually, it's not that easy at all, right? So it's a lot of back-breaking work that a leader has to do, and they fail because they think they have it, but they don't. The one thing that a lot of leaders don't have is, you can lie to everyone. Don't lie to yourself. When I stand in front of the mirror, I am incapable of lying to myself. If I'm full of shit that day, I will tell myself, Devraj, you're full of shit, change it. And you also must have one or two people around you who are not yes men and yes women.
Of course.
They will tell you straight on your face, boss, like, what are you crazy? Like, my wife is one of those, right? She's a yin to my yang. She'll call my shit and say, are you crazy? You need 1-2 of the people who will not agree with you in and around you, especially if you have a job like mine, which is surrounded by global people, big artists, like you're entertaining in your bar, which is ridiculous, right? So some of the stuff that you will look at, oh my God, like what kind of a life do you have? It's tough.
Yeah.
But with that also comes the requirement to be extremely grounded and down to earth. You never let any of this stuff go to your head. Leaders fail, always, because either they have none, or some, or 1 or 2 missing. True leaders, unfortunately, it's a tough job, but you have to have all of them. It's impossible to have, and I'm sure all of us struggle with it, but a good leader has to have it. I'm sorry, there is nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it.
Sure. Great. But thank you so much. I think that was incredible. It's
I'm happy.
Truly an inspiration. And thank you for sharing, your journey so candidly and so practically. Just loved it. Thanks for the...
Very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our audiences for staying with us today. If you found this conversation as enlightening as we did, do share it with your network, and leave a comment with one thought that has truly touched you. Stay plugged in for our next episode as we continue to bring to you inspiring stories, valuable perspectives with a dash of fun. Until then, all you leaders out there, keep slaying, keep inspiring, and continue leading the way. This is me, Bhavna Lalchandani, signing off.